Okay. Well, I think there's a few people yet to come in. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes. Just to remind everybody that unfortunately no interviews today because of it's the full moon day. But I'll do extra interviews tomorrow morning. Extra tomorrow afternoon, 3 to 4. And also the Sutta class, Word of the Buddha, is now what time? Yes. Very good.
What time will you be using the hall today at Vijayana?
Between 4 and 6. But the monks may be setting up a little bit earlier. 4 to 6. Okay. So for today's Dhamma talk, usually try and keep it as much about meditation as possible in these morning talks. And today I'm just going to start discussing or talking, emphasizing the importance of happiness in meditation. And again, I started to think that meditation was really serious, and if you wanted to get anywhere, you have to be tough. And having caused a lot of pain and trouble being tough, you realize that that was not the path of meditation. And it should have been quite obvious that for 6 years Siddhartha Gautama, our Buddha-to-be, really tried to use asceticism, austerities, in order to become enlightened. He wouldn't wash, he wouldn't sleep, he would sit for hours, and we have all those visions of him being really, really, really thin and fierce, with his eyes sunken to the back of his head. And he said he could put his finger on his belly and he could touch his backbone. I can't do that. But he wasn't getting anywhere. He said people were afraid of him. And he just tried to the very limit and just couldn't get anywhere. And so after 6 years of doing it tough and finding out that it's not getting anywhere, that's why he decided to give that path up and try what he called the middle way, avoiding those extremes of indulging the body and torturing the body. I don't know why it is, but there is still, even today, people actually just think, well, if you're not really suffering, then you can't be practicing. And there's 2 examples of that which I remember. There's one monk, he's still a monk, a very nice monk, but he was trying to do all these not sleeping, or sleeping very little, sleeping sitting up, just eating very little, and then this was just before I arrived in Thailand. And he was sitting there one day when Ajahn came to visit the monastery where he was. And during the talk, this monk had an epileptic fit, the only time in his life he's ever had such a fit. Fell off the platform and broke his head. Had to be taken to hospital to get some stitches. And that was when Ajahn was saying, "Come on, that's way too much. When you have to go to hospital." And the other monk, again, still a monk, another man totally, that he decided to do the practice of sitting meditation all night. Not moving, just sitting there. No matter what aches and pains are going to come, he was just going to sit there. He managed it all night, about 10, 11 hours without moving. And in the morning, having finished his vow, we had to take him to the hospital where he had a double knee replacement. Now that's really dumb, isn't it? But some people are like that. And they feel that the only way is to really force the mind and force the body as well. That type of austerity, I never saw that in the suttas, taught by the Buddha. That was actually what not to do. But what was right to do was a phrase in Pali that sukhino cittang samadhiyati. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, that's really radical. Sukhino means from happiness, the cause being happiness, that the mind becomes still. Not from suffering it becomes still, not from effort it becomes still, but from happiness it becomes still. And that was such an important part of the practice, because when I started to see monks who were getting deep meditation, they were happy ones. Ajahn Chah was a very, very happy monk, and he was always laughing and messing around. And he was the one. I told you about the nuns' holy water, but this was Ajahn Chah's holy water story. And I saw this, and sometimes, even as a monk, sometimes I say things that might offend somebody. Sometimes you push the boundaries a little bit, but no one could push those boundaries like Ajahn Chah. And it's amazing he got away with it all the time, because this particular occasion, there was a major general in the Thai army came to visit and pay respects. Now, major generals in Singapore aren't that powerful. But you get to Thailand, even now the generals are running the country. And all the time, major generals were very, very powerful people. And if you said the wrong thing, you could disappear. Now this was a major general, came to Ajahn Chah, with his entourage of many vehicles, they had guns there as well. And but they left the guns away from the hut. They came to him and he wanted a blessing. So what did Ajahn Chah do? He doesn't have any water there to do the blessing like I do up in the up in the dining hall over there. So how can he get a blessing? So Ajahn said, come here. And so the general came right up to him, said, bend your head down. And then Ajahn Chah spit all on his head. And to make it worse, he took his hand and rubbed it in. And I was watching, oh no, that's the end of Ajahn Chah. He's gone too far this time. But you know what happened afterwards? When the general said, oh, sadhu, 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 I'm so lucky, not everybody gets such a special blessing from Ajahn Chah. So it was really fun to be around him. And of course, that fun, that joy, which is in this moment, takes away a lot of the anxiety, the fear, the worry of the past, the pain of the past. It brings you into the present moment, and it energizes your mind, which is one of the reasons why I think, why do these great monks, just have such a great sense of humor? And even when I became a senior monk myself, and one of the monks had died and was having a funeral, and we had all the senior monks, disciples of Ajahn Chah. That was Ajahn Chah's funeral. That all the senior monks were up there in front of the lay people, being very, very, very restrained. And then after we did the little chanting, we went in a little compound. It was sealed off. The lay people couldn't see me or see all the senior monks. And you wouldn't believe how they were playing around, like little children, throwing ice down the back of. And these were really tough senior monks. And I thought, just like everybody else, that playfulness, that joy, that happiness was really important, because it aroused the energy into this moment. It inspired you with, not really holding on and to suffering and stuff, and it made you very peaceful. It brought you into the present moment. Now, there's many types of those happiness. That might be a little just disturbing for many people, but still happiness is so important in order to get contentment. Now, in order to know what I mean, the contentment, sometimes I ask people to remember their past. So Ajahn Brahm, another hypocritical statement of Ajahn Brahm. Now, if ever you charge me with hypocrisy, Ajahn would always say, when you're leaning to the left, he'd always push you to the right. When you're leaning to the right, he'd push you to the left. It's not being hypocritical. Now he says to go to the left, now he says to go to the right. Can't he make his mind up? And it was just, he's talking to the person to make sure they're well balanced. Which does remind me of the story, one of these Nasruddin stories. If anyone thinks that your son is really mischievous and won't follow orders, they've always been like that. And this is the Islamic tradition in Iran, maybe 600-700 years ago, that there was Nasruddin. He was in the salt business, so he would carry the salt on the donkeys from place to place, and his young son would help him. And when they were crossing a bridge, which was very narrow, because the salt was very, very heavy, sometimes it looked like the donkey was going to be unbalanced and fall to the left. And so the father would tell the son, push the donkey to the left. Because whatever the father said, the son, in principle, had to do the opposite. So if he wanted the son to push the donkey to the right, he had to say, push it to the left. If the donkey was leaning to the right, he'd tell his son, push it to the right. And then he'd push it to the left. That's how they worked, because it was just the tradition. So teenagers always have to do the opposite. Now, those of you with children, can you understand that? So anyway, what he did, he was crossing a narrow bridge one day, and the donkey was leaning to the right, and the father told his son, push it to the right, and the son did push it to the right, and it fell in the water. What did you do that for? Told the son. Don't you remember, Daddy? Today's my birthday. I'm 20. I'm no longer a teenager. Now what they really mean, people think, oh, modern times people don't respect their parents enough or something, but this is culture all over the place, years and centuries. So don't think there's anything different. And eventually the son sort of grows out of it. When he becomes 20, he starts to behave, maybe. But anyway, this is just, it's not really hypocrisy. So I ask people to remember their past. In particular, when is the most happiest moment of your life so far? A really deep happiness. When you felt so content, so free. When you were sitting or standing or laying down somewhere, and you didn't want anyone else to be there except those who were there. No one was missing. Didn't want to get rid of anybody. You didn't have anything to do. You wouldn't want to be anywhere else, in any place, in any time, except just right here. Those beautiful moments of contentment. Now, everyone's had some sort of moment like that. It may be years and years and years ago. It may be recently. Times you're just sitting down and you don't want the world to change at all in this moment. This is wonderful peace. And first of all, when you can recall those moments, you realize they're not perfect moments. An hour later, 2 hours later, you have to go back to work or solve all the problems. But in those moments, you have this beautiful, deep sense of contentment and peace and happiness. And you ask why. When you look back upon it, you find it was a time you wanted nothing. Nothing was missing. Didn't want anything to change. All your wants would just somehow vanish for that time. And you felt so free and peaceful, sitting there, not wanting anything in the whole world, just to be here. Now, if you can recall moments like that, I call those tastes of freedom. And experience what it's like when you don't want anything. There are other happinesses in this world. When you find that you've won the lottery or you got a bonus you never expected, Or some people, when your granddaughter has or your daughter has a child, I'm a grandma, hey! Oh my goodness, what are you talking about? More visits to make, looking after them. And that's why the Buddha called his son Rahula, which means ball and chain, sort of. That's what he called Rahula, fetter. Have ever any of you called your children fetters? Just as a weird story, just to make you interested. People's names these days are very weird. But, in the old days, especially in the West, it's just Peter or John or Sarah or Susan, but they have really weird names these days, but none can actually be more weird than this monk in Thailand many years ago. And when I asked what his name was, and this is accurate, I cannot sort of change this because this is his name. In Thai it was Kima, which translates as dog shit. And I've never seen a person with that name before. And then we asked, what did he give you that name for? And the reason behind this, in their village, it's in the northeast, a long way from anywhere. In that village, they were having so many miscarriages at birth. The babies, women were getting pregnant, looked okay, and then they died. And so the village elders had a meeting, and the headman decided this must be like a goblin, and what they call a yaka. And that yaka, that goblin, must be around the village eating children. So apparently that's what sort of goblins do. I don't know why they can get some takeaway or something else, but anyway, they seem to prefer children. So anyway, how can we deal with this? So they had this brilliant idea. Those brilliant ideas, it sounded good at the time, but they're crazy. The brilliant idea was to take the most disgusting names they could think of and name their children accordingly. Because, what goblin with any sense of self-respect would eat a baby called dog shit? So they gave all their children the most disgusting, revolting names they could possibly think of, and it worked. They survived. They never got eaten by the goblins. But I don't know what. I think he probably became a monk because at least you get some kindness and compassion if he went in the world with a name like that. Imagine going through the customs or the immigration coming to Perth. What's your name, sir? Oh, shit. Oh, you can't come over the West. But anyway, so where's I going with this one? I forget now. Anyway, but we'll start with this. I don't know anyway. But anyway, just what's your happiest? Not sort of that happiness with like fun and funny stories like that, but when you're just so content, so peaceful. The work today is done. Tomorrow is not coming yet. There's beautiful times of freedom. Those you find are teaching you like the taste of freedom. What like Nibbana must be like. You're sitting there, peaceful, don't want anything in the whole world. That is the happiness born of contentment, the peaceful happiness. And in a place like this, it's always there for you. It's like just food for the heart, which you can eat in the morning, in the afternoon. You're supposed to keep the 8 precepts, nothing in the evening, And there's always water, there's coffee and tea at any time. Just like the joy of peace and freedom is always there, if you really want to drink some. Which is why that sometimes you go out, have a walk around in the forest, see a wonderful tree, sit down by the stupa and just watch the trees grow. I say watch the trees grow because you know what it's like. You're sitting down there and say, oh, Ajahn Brahm, are you busy? And if I say, no, I'm not doing anything, then people come and ask me questions or get me to do stuff. It's like at home. That maybe your husband asks you, darling, are you doing anything? You say, no, I'm doing nothing. I say, oh, great, come and help me. people just don't respect the importance of doing nothing. It's one of the most first thing you should actually do at the beginning of the day. The list of stuff you have to do in your home. Doing nothing has to be number one. In order to get some rest and peace. People don't only respect it when you're doing something. So because of that, actually what happened is another Buddhist funny story, that somebody called the monastery, the Buddhist temple. And when they called the temple, a monk answered, and the person said, I need you to come to the house today to do a blessing, we need some good luck. And the monk said, I'm sorry, sir, I'm busy today. And the caller said, well, what are you doing today? I'm doing nothing. It's my doing nothing day. And so at least the caller had enough understanding to respect that that's what a monk should do, that's what a nun should do, to relax. Otherwise we're bad examples to others. So we have to relax. It's our doing nothing day. So he understood, well done, and hang up. And then he called again the next day. He just happened to get through to the same monk. Monk, I need your help. I need a blessing for my house. And the monk said, sorry, I'm busy. That's what you said yesterday. What are you doing today? He said, I'm doing nothing. Well, that's what you said yesterday. Yes, said the monk, but I haven't finished yet. I like that little joke. So, if your husband or your wife asks you, darling, can you please help? So, I'm doing nothing. I haven't finished yet. Just wait a little later. So finish that first of all. Otherwise you go crazy. You know that doing nothing, it's joyful, it's happy. Don't feel guilty about it. Sometimes people say, oh, there's so much problems in the world, so much stuff to be done, you should be out there doing something. And people who go and help out, most of them actually cause more problems. So sometimes we just like as a Boy Scout, all he's had to do is one good deed of a day. So his one good deed was to help an old lady across the road, across a busy road. The only problem was she didn't want to go. But he had to do his good deed. That's crazy, isn't it? So, but that's actually what our life is. So there's some times when we just sit there, we don't need to get anywhere, improve anything, or make ourselves better, or get things done, or check anything. Like freedom. Times when you're sitting there and you want nothing. Later on you can want something, and do something, and brush your teeth and pick your nose, whatever you need to do, but right now, freedom, peace. And this is a taste of freedom. And you've all experienced these moments like that. And those moments, my first moment like that, I'd stood at school, finished all my homework in the lunch hour, had an afternoon free. I remember walking out of those gates, it didn't matter where I went, left, right, north, had all afternoon, no responsibilities, no place I had to be, no appointments, nothing to achieve, couldn't do anything more. Just total freedom, just peace. I remember that moment. I remember that moment since, like the time when you were a travelling monk, wandering monk. After 5 years in a monastery in Thailand, you just take your bowl and your bag. It was heavy at first. That's why I learned how to travel lightly. And then you go walking. Had no destination, no maps. You come to any crossroads, you can turn left, right, go ahead, or just turn back again. No destination, just walking. Any place when it got to the evening, you could put your mosquito net umbrella up and just go sleep in a field, in a forest, anywhere you wanted, have a bathe in the lake. In the morning, you go on arms round the nearest village and always get something to eat. And you were like a bird with no ties at all. No place to be, no place to go, nothing holding you back or pushing you forward. It's a beautiful time of the life. And little by little you let go of all these things which you thought were important. They weren't important. And a wonderful time. No responsibilities at all. No place to go, no place to be. Peace, freedom. That type of happiness, can you feel that? You've had those moments in your life. And you can grab those moments anytime, especially here in Jhana Grove. So it's not watching the breath. It's not trying to sit still and get rid of all your problems. It's not doing anything. It's just stillness and peace, and it's just so happy. And when you start to feel that happiness, that joy, then you're sitting there just being really peaceful, really happy. Your mind becomes still. It's still because it's satisfied, it's full. Just like if you had a really good meal, at least for an hour or two, you're not hungry anymore. You think, oh, this is great, I don't need to worry about eating. When you've got the beautiful health food for the mind of happiness and joy, you're sitting there, oh, wonderful. Just don't need to do anything. Just like they say, a workman has been paid. Doesn't have to work again until maybe next Monday. You're free. So those are the feelings that give you an idea what meditation's all about, to develop that freedom and that happiness of that freedom, which causes stillness to go very, very deeply. Even, I was developing the mindfulness on the body and thinking about it, maybe a tight part in my tummy, and it's just like being pulled apart by two monsters, stretched, not stressed, or squashed, by something or other, and just so much pain or stress or tightness there. Just imagine loosening everything, relaxing it. The mindfulness and the kindness did that job until that part of the body became so loose. And I did mention that once your body relaxes, it feels pleasurable. It feels really nice. Just like if you had a massage, or you just laid in the spa. Sometimes they put me up in these 5-star hotel rooms, and they have a beautiful spa in there. I've never been in one because I'm afraid I don't know which button to press. I'm scared. You don't need jacuzzis. But sometimes it's really weird. I don't know why people do this. I've told Angie many times, because if we go on these executive retreats, if it's in Thailand, because I'm a monk, they give me the best suite, the best room in the whole hotel, with sea views and jacuzzis and TVs and everything. And I look outside the window 1 minute and I close the curtains. Sea views are wasted on me. Televisions, don't know how to... Actually, I have to confess, sometimes I watch the TV in the hotel rooms. Is that bad? I watch them, they're very interesting. But I always make sure I never turn them on. I just look at them and get close. And you can see an image of yourself in the screen. That's Dhamma. So if a monk watches the TV, that's how you watch the TV. You go up there and you can see this image, that's me. And all this other stuff in there, total waste for a monk. I say, you should just get me a cupboard. That'll do. Look at my cave, that's all you need. Next year, okay, just a little cupboard. That's all you need, just something you can sit down in and lay down in, that's all you need. Okay, save a lot of money. So, something can be so simple, you don't need very much. And then you're so happy and peaceful. And that joy, that happiness, that is actually where you get nice meditation from. It's why skillful means you do tell funny stories, you do try and inspire people, you do try and look for the smile on people's face. Because that's an important ingredient to deep meditation. So anyway, when I'm relaxing my body, you get to a point it just feels so nice. When you first wake up in the morning, if you're not that old, you don't have to rush out to go to the toilet. That when you get up in the morning, or you're not getting up, you're still in bed, you're lying down, it's just really nice and cozy, isn't it? The pillow's just really nice. I don't want to get up yet. Oh, it's nice. I know that feeling. It's beautiful, isn't it? Nice, cozy, warm, relaxed body. It's a certain type of happiness, which I often indulge in when I'm meditating. Just to get the body really nice. Really nice, it's warm enough, it's comfortable. Any aches and pains, I've dealt with them, I just relaxed everything. And I purposely perceive the pleasure of a relaxed body. You know what happens? My body gets even more relaxed. You know, one of those little experiments I did, I never really I should have, because this is, I can understand according to the Buddha's teachings and how things work. If you perceive the pleasure of the body really nice and relaxed, it gets to a deeper level of relaxation. And the body never feels just so free and relaxed when you focus on the pleasure of an easy body. And that's where you get some really good deep relaxations and all the stuff, headaches or belly aches or whatever else is going on in my body. It can look after itself from there. And then once I've got that joy, then you can go into the mind. Yeah, the present moment eventually becomes so peaceful being in the present moment. You know, sometimes I have to check my emails. You know, my favourite button on the computer is always the delete button. So I love that button. In fact, if you look at my little iPad, that'll probably be the first button which wears out. Delete, 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 delete. Sometimes I get in trouble. I shouldn't have deleted that. That was my air ticket to go to Singapore. I'll just get into it. But you like to delete, because once you delete it, it's gone, it's finished. You don't have to worry about it anymore. But when you collect things, oh crikey, a list of all these emails, all these files, all these downloads, oh my goodness. It really so drives you crazy. So, the delete button, you delete the past. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could find that delete button in your brain somewhere? If you can somehow get some gizmo, which actually, like now you have a mouse you put into the computer, some mouse you can actually put in your ear, and which got a delete button, so you can delete stuff. Actually, somebody said there was a movie about that, where they learned how to delete memories. Unfortunately, it didn't work, because they didn't get the right method. The right method is meditation. That deletes stuff. Lets it go off into the past. You don't have to carry those memories. Because look, the memories you keep, the memories which you spend most time thinking about, what are they? The bad ones, the negative ones. Why do you do that? It's absolutely crazy. If you go to somebody's house, you go to people's houses sometimes for dana or a blessing or something. When I go to people's houses, it haven't changed much. That they always have these photographs on the wall or on the shelves. There's a photograph of your marriage, a photograph of your kids on holiday somewhere, a photograph of what else? The happy moments of your life. And I've never ever seen a photograph in somebody's room of when they get divorced. When they're married, yeah. I've never seen photographs of them when they become, they get their degrees, throwing up the hat, in sort of celebration. But I've never seen anybody having a photograph of them in the exam room doing the final exams or doing the homework. I've seen them having photographs on holidays over in exotic locations like Serpentine, Club Med. But I've never seen anyone having a photograph of when they were at work, struggling to get enough money to pay for this joint. I've never seen anybody just when they're happy, just in their garden. I've never seen a photograph, never once, of someone, a photograph of when they're in hospital with the flu. We only keep happy photographs, don't we, on the walls of our house? Because when we go past it, we can see, that's just wonderful. That just reminds me of just that wonderful time. We always keep the happy photographs. Why? And the reason is because that gives us joy and energy. Imagine if you did have in your house all the negative photographs. The photograph of your first boyfriend who dumped you. The photograph of when you got put in detention or worse at school for coming in late. The photograph of when you were really sick. The photograph of all the sad moments of your life, like the day you left Jhana Grove after a nice retreat. If you had all those negative photographs in your house, that would make you depressed. So we never do that in our houses. We only have happy photographs because they inspire us and give us happiness, energize us, so we can go and do whatever we need to do in life to serve others, to serve ourselves, to serve the family. But there is another photograph album, the one between your ears, your brain, your memory. And in there, most of the photographs should have been trashed, shredded, deleted a long time ago. And that's actually what causes a lot of trouble. You can't have a good relationship if it's based on the bad memories. You can if you remember the happy memories. It gives you energy. It gives you mindfulness. It doesn't drag you down. So we cultivate happy memories. And if you cultivate those happy memories, even that time, the time when I was so happy and peaceful, the time when I wasn't planning to go anywhere or having all these duties and burdens, I can remember that time. Time as a young monk just walking through the paddy fields of Thailand, not a care in the world, no place to go, don't have to go fast or slow, whatever. There's no one to push or pull me, to judge me. Total freedom. And I feel, sorry, I can get into this so easily. Get really into it, and then it's so peaceful. Because whenever you have a memory of a positive event, especially a peaceful event, it leaves a residue. So this is one of the skillful means meditations. When you sit down, you remember the most peaceful, joyful, freeing moment of your life, whatever you can remember. You bring it up, you fill in all the details, what time of day, what the weather was like, whether it was open ground or fields or forest or mountains, or maybe inside in a cave, in a monastery, a temple somewhere. Any age, maybe you're young or middle-aged or old or whatever, you remember that, and you fill in as many details as possible. You paint the picture, and the longer you stay with that, you tend to get the feeling of peace and happiness back again. And you get that feeling of peace and happiness, remembering what it was like just to be totally free and no duties and no problems at all. And then after a couple of minutes of that, using your thought, memories, then you can let go of the memories and thoughts, and what you've got left is the peace, the happiness. It's like giving you a big boost at the beginning of the path. And then you carry on meditating. It's so easy. You create that happiness, that joy, that peace first of all, by the beautiful moments. And the other free happiness is this thing we call mudita, the joy in other people's happiness. Sometimes we're so selfish. If I tell you that the person sitting next to you, and this is their first retreat, they're a beginner. In fact, they didn't actually join the Bodhinyana retreat. They just came in because there was a few extra places and they weren't doing anything else, and they've just become enlightened. That's really unfair. I was doing this meditation all my life. I'm a Buddhist, and I've been giving so much dharma. These people, they just come in and they get enlightened straight away, and I have to work so hard. That's really unfair. That sort of jealousy. That's not how we work. is someone gets enlightened before you do. You have this beautiful joy. Oh, that's so wonderful, that's so inspiring. There's this person has become enlightened before I have. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That's joy in other people's happiness. It's a free joy. You see someone here and they're meditating with a nice smile on their face. Well done. Which means you get their joy. You share their joy. And you got a free boost in the beginning of your meditation. You know, sometimes the eye can work really hard. And, you know, just should be exhausted. But there are times like that you really push because it's something really important. And after it's all finished, I go to my room, I'll go find some quiet place somewhere. And instead of thinking, why me? Why do I have to shoulder all this burden? No, I don't think negatively. I think, wow, what an amazing opportunity that was to serve. And I think, what have I done? How many people have I served? How many people have I really helped? How many people have put on the path to the Dhamma? Given just great meditation instructions, created more just people who get deep meditation. All the tiredness just vanishes. And you sit there blissed out of your little head. I've done that many times, it's really good fun. So don't be negative and think, this retreat center sucks. We should have more guided meditation. What is Ajahn Brahm up to? We paid for this and we should get more interviews this afternoon and this morning and whenever we need them. No, instead you say, what a wonderful thing this is that I'm contributing to other people's happiness, you know, like just all the retreat managers here who have to come and just do stuff for you. And I think, I want to meditate too. Forget about that. Because one of those experiences which I had was in our tradition, in those old days, these robes we had to make ourselves from white cloth. So we had to cut, we usually wash it first of all to get the grease. We'd cut it, sew it, and which took many hours, and then wash it to get the grease out. We had to make our own dye out of the wood of a jackfruit tree. That's why it became, first of all yellow, but then it darkened up with age. So no chemical dyes. Even the water you had to haul with a bucket from out the well. Sometimes, you drop the bucket, and so I'd have to go in the well. Many times you went down the well. Sometimes there was a snake down the well, but the snake was Buddhist, so it left you alone. So I remember that, it was good fun. So you pick the water out of the well and you'd make a fire and had this big bowl which you put ash underneath, water, wet it and then put ash on it so it didn't it protected the bowl. Boil the water, chip the jackfruit into little wooden chips, and then you put it in there and boil the hell out of it and boil it until concentrate the dye, and then the dye, bang it into the robe, beat it, and then you put it on the line, but you had to, because it's a natural dye, you had to keep moving it this way and that way, otherwise it would streak, and then you do it again. It was days' work. But Ajahn Chah used to say that every person who became a monk had to make their own robes from scratch. There's a lot of work. So one day there were these 3 monks were making their robes. And they'd already been up without sleep for a couple of days. And after the evening meeting, I broke the rule. Because they were supposed to do it themselves. But I'm just scallywag and too much compassion, not enough wisdom. That's me. Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, my compassion sometimes gets me into trouble. So I went there after the evening meditation, maybe 9:30. And I said, guys, there's no one around. I look after the dying for you. You go and take a rest. And they never argued. They were off. Because you know what it's like if you haven't slept for a couple of days. You're just so tired, exhausted. And just a few hours is all you need. So off they went, and I looked after the dipot by myself, doing all that work, and just, I knew what I was doing. And it came 3 o'clock, the bell went for the morning meeting. So they came back to help with to do the dipot, and I went to the morning meeting, the chanting and meditation. So straight, so much energy for my meditation. Instead of like being sleepy, wow, I was really powering along. And when you went afterwards for the arms round, wow, so much energy in my body. And that's when on the way back I asked the senior monk there, I'm sorry, I confess, I just helped those monks last night while they took a rest. But what I want to ask you is, why have I got so much energy? Why do I feel so alive when I haven't slept all night and been working really hard? And that's when he taught me that if, you give and rejoice and serve, and you remember what you've done, the kindness, the giving, the joy, that's a huge source of free happiness and energy. It's wonderful. So sometimes, these acts of kindness and generosity which make me cry. Remember the beautiful things which people have done. For example, just all of you sitting on that side of this room here. When we built this place, the builder said, we'll be finished in January, February. Australian builders, maybe I'm not sure the same in Singapore, but they won't finish until the very last day. In fact, this builder, the last day before the grand opening ceremony, where we're going to have the retreat starting afterwards, straight afterwards that evening, that night, about 6, 7 o'clock, most of this floor hadn't been laid. We had a big ceremony the next day. What to do? That is where the monks come to the rescue. We don't have 7th Cavalry riding to the rescue in Australia. We have the monks. So they all came in here, and they worked about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to finish laying that floor. And the monk mostly responsible for that, he's over there, Ajahn Santuti. Brilliant. 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock or something, that's when he finished. And then, hour sleep or something, had a big ceremony to organize the next day. I love that stuff. Absolutely crazy, ridiculous. Monks should never be allowed to do that, but they did it and they had so much fun afterwards. They had this joy. You did something. So you remember that, you record it, you indulge in those beautiful acts of kindness and generosity and giving and selflessness. You rejoice in that, you get this incredible happiness. What was it? Other examples of that. I indulge in this because I enjoy this stuff, because I'm remembering all those things which how you can actually really give and get so much energy and happiness, and meditation becomes just so easy. You remember when Angie was arranging all of these concerts at Victoria Theatre? It was open the door of your heart and whatever else it was. But on one of those, I had to get involved in it. I can't. Well, maybe I could act, but anyway, I was playing myself. And my job was actually at the right time. I think it was the opening the door of your heart. Whoever was the one of the stars in there, she was she was telling, I think her mother, she said, I had a very terrible time, I had sort of divorced from my husband, I got a kid, or something like that. But then, now I'm happy. I said, how? Because I read this book from this Western monk. What was that book? Opening the Door of Your Heart. Oh, I would love to meet that monk. Well, he happens to be here. And that was my cue to come on. Or something like that. Totally ridiculous. But I didn't mind. I'll do anything. So I got on and gave a little Dhamma talk and did something. So that was my job. But to get there, because we're really busy here, You have to get on the morning flight from Perth and get there about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, straight to the theatre, do my bit, and then everyone else went off for dinner. And I can't eat any dinner. I was exhausted. I was really tired. And I had to do another show in the evening. They don't give me any rest, but I love that stuff. So you know what I did? I remember in that theatre I said, there's only a quiet place somewhere, and of course there's no quiet place. But then I found that one of the exits, probably illegal, was actually locked. One of the fire exits was locked. So I could actually go to the very end where the exit was. And it was really dark downstairs, and that was my cave. And I remember that. You were all having your lunch, and I was just so exhausted. I was so exhausted. But then I started just remembering what I've done. Helping out, surfing, getting people interested in Buddhism again. Really good Buddhism, kindness, really monks with good precepts. And I think, wow, I'm part of that. Yeah, just what have I done today? Oh yeah, this is good. Whoa, yeah. Whoa, oh, then you go flying. So that is actually using your goodness. It's not just doing karma and leaving it in the bank. It's remembering it, bringing it up, indulging in it. Not just thinking of all the faults and all the bad stuff you've done and all the terrible burdens which are going to happen in the morning or tomorrow, and all the difficulties. No, in this moment right now, just all the wonderful stuff you've done. The kindness, the generosity, the sacrifice. You bring all that stuff up. Wow. Free energy. Beautiful energy. Happy energy. And then you start meditating. Wow. So easy. It's why some traditional Buddhists, Thai, Sri Lankans or whatever, they do a little bit of chanting first of all before they do the meditation. Just, maybe to themselves quietly inside their own mind, Itipiso or anything which really moves them, which really gets them going. Or they recall their own acts of kindness and sacrifice and generosity, or other people's. Even other people's can really just move me sometimes to tears, just how people can be so kind and help one another. So actually that video, I emailed that to you this morning about the guy with the knife in the police station in Thailand. Beautiful little response of this person to things which in other countries that they would shoot you straight away. And those things give so much beauty and joy and happiness to our lives. And those are the things I remember and recall. So yeah, it's past, but it's useful. And I focus on it, and it's so nice, so wonderful, so great. Even like the old nuns' monasteries. The Dhammaraso monastery, that was brilliant. Just when we collected some money for it, and then it was going to be auctioned. This was Dhammaraso, where you go next week or sometime. But anyway, that monastery, it was going to be auctioned. And we didn't know if we had enough money. We collected a bit from here and a bit from there, and other people said, we'll loan you this and we'll loan you that. And we tallied it all up. And it'll be really testing us. But our maximum, absolute maximum, we'd go bankrupt if we went further than $600,000 for that land. That's all we could afford. I mean, really, all we could afford. And so, just to make sure, I went there with another monk an hour earlier. We went to the highest place, and my goodness, did we chant. We chanted and chanted and chanted, asking all the heavenly beings in the land, please come and keep everyone else quiet. Shut their mouths and bolt them, so that we're the only ones who bid. Is that corruption? Maybe it is, but I don't know. Good for a good cause. And then I learned a lot from these things, because they started off, this is a beautiful piece of land. And actually, even a year or two ago, someone offered them $1 million and they refused it. So, it's worth a lot, so let's start at 2 million. They're just pushing their luck. This is what auctioneers do. Okay, 1 million. Okay, well let's start at 500, 400,000. Somebody put their hand up, 400,000. And then 425, do I hear 425? 450, 450, do I hear 450? And that's when he started speaking really fast. Because that's what happens. If I speak really fast and I start really high-pitched and really fast and saying one thing after another and saying this and that and that, and I keep on going and going faster and faster and higher-pitched, everyone gets excited, and so because they get excited they do things they shouldn't do. Yeah, 500, 600, they don't know what they're up to. And that's auctioneers, that's how they sell things. So if you want to get people excited, high-pitched, very fast. That's why when I want to calm you down, you speak very slowly in a low voice. You calm down, don't you? That's actually what I learned there and taught afterwards. If you're in a confrontation with somebody, they're shouting at you, getting very violent, you just lower the tone of your voice. Speak softly and slowly. They won't harm you. They'll probably fall asleep. But anyway, so at that auction, there they were, 500,000, 525, 550, 575, and our auctioneer, our sort of representative, put their hand up, 600,000. And at that time I was really praying hard, shouting, please, 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 please. Someone put their hand up, 625. And our representative, 650. And I was sitting next to the treasurer. And the treasurer was going ballistic, he was going crazy. Stop him, he can't do that. I can't afford it, we're in trouble, he can't do that. And I just, shut up, have some faith. And it passed in at 650. We got the land, yes! We found the other 50,000 somewhere. I don't know where, but you got a good cause, it happens. So don't ever worry about money, it will come somewhere or other. So that way, I like that, it's inspiring. You know, it's totally illogical, irrational, but it works. You come from here, not from the head. And when I remember that, just how we got the land for dhammarasa, I just get so much happiness out of that. I remember that time. I thought, oh, this is really good. Oh, that's wonderful. I remember as soon as we went back the next Friday night and announced it to all our members, they all cheered, clapped. We got something. Everyone got in on the energy. Now that is that inspiration. That joy, inspiration, happiness. And then you get that going, and then you meditate. Wow, so easy. So, it's not just sitting down there, straight back, come on, get your act together, watch your breath. Watch your breath. That's not how it works. Just start thinking, just start reflecting on something which is really inspiring. There's beautiful memories in the past. Create that happiness, get it going. Just like lighting a fire, you need a match first of all. Get that match, light it on something easy, and it gets it going, and then you're really meditating, and you're having such a wonderful time. And the happiness gets more and more. Joyful, you're letting go, peaceful, free. You get the big boost to begin with. And that happiness, done really nice, good karma. That's why at the beginning of the range, you had this Visakha who went up to, there's a story behind this. I better go quick. The story behind Visakha, a nice story. She invited the monks to come and have a meal at her house. And when she invited the monks to come, before they were ready, there was a big rainstorm. And the monks took all their robes off to wash, because no showers, no plumbing, so you had a choice either in the river, which during the rain retreat was dangerous, because it was fast flowing, but a big heavy rainstorm, off with your clothes and just wash in the rain. So all the monks were washing in the rain, when Visakha told one of her maids, just go now and invite the Buddha and the monks. And she went there, and what did she see? A bunch of naked men. So she went back and said, there's no Buddhist over there. Just a bunch of naked men. And Nusaka, a very smart girl, smart woman, she said, go back again. And of course, by that time, the rain had finished, they dried off and put their robes on. So they invited them to go to the meal. And after the meal, Wisaka asked the Buddha, he said, look, I know that you have no attachments and you don't mind, but, other people don't like seeing naked monks. So can I ask a favour? I want to offer these robes for the monks to wear around their waist so they can bathe in the rain. And that became the rainy season bathing cloths. And she said, but I want to be the only one who can offer those. I said, that's not fair. Why just you? He said, but I haven't finished yet. I also want to offer the rainy season robes to the nuns as well, the bhikkhunis. And there's people who come this time of the year, and they may not know where to go on alms run, because they come to my house the first day when they arrive here, so at least they know they can get a meal, and then they can actually get settled in. And the last day when they leave, can they also come to my house, so if they need any requisites, any sort of things which are necessary for their journey, just like Oyster cards when you get to London, available, whatever it is you need. Because when you're travelling, you need extra stuff. And if they're sick, can they come to my house and I'll look after them for the sickness, and also maybe the monk or the nun is looking after the sick. And the Buddha said something like, well, that's a lot you're asking for. And just for you can't share that opportunity to make good karma with everyone else? Why? And that's when Wisaka said, because I know that every monk or nun in this area who becomes a stream winner or once returner, non-returner, who becomes fully enlightened or gets very deep meditation, I know that I gave that venerable something. That I am also responsible for their beautiful attainments. They'll give me so much mudita, so much happiness. I've helped and served people from Singapore being able to meditate for 9 days comfortably and peacefully. And if they get any joy, faith, happiness, I know that I'm responsible for that, at least part of it. That would give me so much joy, so much inspiration, that when I meditate, that will push me way further than I could otherwise go, to maybe just attainments or letting go, even enlightenment. And when the Buddha heard that, he said, yes, you've understood. You understand how it works. And he said, yes, okay, I will give you and you alone, that privilege for your life. Because this is important for meditation. The joy, the happiness, the inspiration, that you're part of this. And whatever you've done, all you anagarikas, feeding me too much, but who cares? Drive me around and around doing stuff. All that, you're part of this. So don't just forget that. Get inspired, energized, joy and happiness, and then when somebody else gets beautiful meditation, I'm part of this. Wow. Just like your team has won the cup. Yes. And you get that inspiration and you win the cup as well. Inspiration, happiness, an important part of meditation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, wish you a very happy morning. And be back this afternoon at 3 p.m. for the Sutta class. You got a cold? Holy water. Why do you want this one instead?
Saturday is the program that we agreed. So morning talk will be by Ajahn.
Yes. you want?
Afternoon will be the Dhamma class where we practice the...
Okay, we can do. I don't know. See what happens. The afternoon is, on Saturday afternoon, the last day, is uncertainty meditation.
Then it's the matter and the closing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Aha. Okay. Very good. And it's a check. Okay. Very good. Okay. Now, please remember that you have to always remember these, and remember what you're doing, so it can give you lots of happiness. You're helping the nuns' monastery over in Newbury, and also you're helping the burning down the monastery. So whatever great stuff happens there, you've got part of it. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just to confirm, you're going off on Friday
After 5 o'clock, after the
yeah,
Sutta
after the
class.
Sutta.
But morning you'll still be around.
I'm around every day. You say, are you going to be around? I'm a round monk, eternally. Yeah,
So Friday will be a normal program.
right, normal program, Friday.
Maybe
Exactly.
we are thinking 1 to 2 we may ask Ajahn Brahmani to do metta for those leaving.
Oh, I may be able to. Just give him ask him when he comes. See what he's up to.
Then the evening
Yeah.
you around after.
Yes, I'll be round. I'll be round in the evening.
Round.
I'll be round when I come to Singapore.
Is there a dinner program for those who will be staying back? Is there like
No, it's not a real program. It just happens. It's really true. I mean, it's Asian tradition. You know, no one really knows what's going on, but it happens.
okay, so that hasn't changed.
Yeah, that's right. Disorganized religion.